let us enter the beautiful, eternal, evergreen, ever fresh Vrindavan Dham. And here we are on a twist in the story. Krishna was 11 years old. He had just spent 11 years in Vrindavan. But he had so much to do for his mission on earth, the reason for which he had appeared. And the demigods were in on what the plan was. Not completely, but they knew they were playing a role. But Narad Muni and very pure souls like him were totally in line and kind of knew what Krishna is going to do next and what his plan is. And they were so close to Krishna, they so well knew Krishna's heart, they could pave the way for the next part of this beautiful pastime of Krishna on earth. And with that intention in mind, after 11 years of Krishna's birth, Narad Muni went into the court of King Kamsa one day. And for the past 11 years, King Kamsa had not slept a single day of sleep. He was in complete anxiety, 24/7 thinking of Krishna, because he was waiting for the day Krishna will come to kill him. He didn't exactly know who the person is. He knew it's the 8th son of Devaki, and until that day, he thought Devaki had a daughter. So he was really confused what's going on. And he knew, he kind of had heard that so many of my closest friends and dearmost monstrous, demoniac wizards and sorcerers and all these compassionate souls, according to him, had been killed. Some just accidentally died, perhaps, but it all came from a certain village around. He couldn't exactly zoom in on who exactly was doing all this. Some were stories, he thought, some are rumors, some are tales. This little boy can't be. Some said, no, it's a group of villagers doing all this. He was so much in anxiety. 11 years, every single day, his only aim was to kill whoever or whatever is that prophecy which is meant to kill me. But he couldn't. And one day Narad Muni entered his court, and with great respect he welcomed Narad Muni, because Narad Muni had saved him from a big mistake he was about to make 11 years ago of letting the other sons of Vasudev live. Narad Muni was such an understanding soul, he thought, so empathic to my situation, fully understands me, and he really is my best well-wisher. He had told me to kill all the other sons, and that's what I did. Thank God, because I would have been in anxiety for 8 sons who were trying to kill me. Now at least I'm only bothered about one. So Narad Muni came, he was welcomed and very well hosted, and Kamsa said, what can I do for you? What is the news? What have you come to tell me and about me and protect me? And Narad Muni said, my dear king, I have come to tell you who exactly it is who is going to kill you. And Kamsa was all ears. His eyes were open. He became so still. He was so afraid. He thought it was as though from Narad Muni's mouth that person is going to appear just by hearing his name, and he was holding on to his throne. And Narad Muni said, 11 years ago, Vasudev cheated you. It was not a girl, it was a boy who was secretly transferred to Vrindavan. And Yashoda, who's also rumored to have had a girl, actually is the foster mother of this boy. His name is Krishna, and his brother Balaram is also Devaki's son, who's currently is also Vasudev's son, who's currently being taken care of in Vrindavan by Rohini, the other queen of Vasudev. You should at once take action. And Kamsa was furious. He opened his, he started screaming and shouting all the 11 years of frustration. Finally, he knew where at least the object of his anger and rage and fear and anxiety and It was so mixed. He couldn't control. He started bellowing and shouting, and all his ministers, everyone was so afraid, because in anger he may just come and kill the ministers who didn't give him enough information, or he'll kill someone else. And they were all scared. And the first thing Kamsa said is, "Vasudev, bring him, I'm going to chop his head off." And the only person in that entire courtroom who was absolutely fearless and calm was Narad Muni. And Narad Muni smiled. He said, "Kamsa, Kamsa, Kamsa, calm down. Calm down. What will you get out of killing Vasudev? Your enemy is Krishna and Balaram. Bring them here to Mathura and kill them." And Kamsa he said, "Narad Muni, you're the most brilliant advisor I've ever had. I'll give you the highest paid salary job on my court." He didn't say that, I'm just adding. But he said, "Brilliant, that's exactly what I'll do. I'll bring them here so that in front of my eyes they'll die. No more sending someone to kill them. I myself in front of my eyes will make sure these boys are dead." And in front of Narad Muni, he started making his plans. He called his ministers. He called Akrura, "Come here." And he called all of these people and he started telling them, listen now what I say. Vasudev and Devaki, lock them up, throw them in the dungeon. My father Ugrasen will be next. I will kill him because he's greedy for my throne. Which was actually exactly the opposite. But in his head, this was the real, true story, honest, sincere story of his life. Ugrasen, my father is after my throne. I will kill him next. The Vrishni, Bhoja and Yadu dynasties, I will uproot them because I know these demigods have taken birth there supporting Vishnu. I will kill all of them. I have powerful friends like Jarasandh and Banasur and Narkasur, Shala. All of these people, they're like my allies. They're my best friends. They'll give their lives for me. Together, I will uproot these entire dynasties and rule the world in peace. And today my plan is this. Akrura, you will go to Vrindavan and bring Krishna and Balaram. I will arrange a fighting match. Shala, Toshal, Chanur, Mushtik. These wrestlers can kill elephants and lions with their bare hands. You will fight with all your strength with these little boys and crush them to pieces in front of their eyes. I will invite Nanda and his entire traitorous group of villagers and tell them to bring a lot of tribute with them. They will not go back alive. And in this way, I will kill everyone and rule this earth for peace. Kuvalyapid, that the most powerful of all elephants, will be stationed at the gates of Mathura. As soon as these boys arrive, Akrura, you make sure that Kuvalyapid kills them. In case they escape, 1,000 of my most powerful commando soldiers who are so well trained in battle, each and every one of them can kill an entire army. They will attack these boys when they enter the sacrificial arena. In case they survive, the next day I will arrange a wrestling match and make sure this festival, this celebration of the match is such that nobody on earth has ever seen. I will erect such beautiful canopies and such a beautiful stadium just to see that these two boys will come. And in the middle of all these festivities, to celebrate the happiest day of my life, they will be killed in front of my eyes. And in this way, Kamsa made his most evil plan. And just before he executed his plan, he wanted to make sure that he was, if you see what he's saying, he was so much in doubt whether he'd actually be able to kill Krishna. He was so confident, it would just been call them and I'll kill them. First the elephant, then this will happen, then this, in case they escape, in case. So he knew they're kind of been escaping a lot, in case this, in case that. And finally he said, Kesi, oh my dearest of friends, he called Kesi. who was a wizard with all mystic powers, one of the most powerful, terrible people on earth at that time. And Kesi appeared in his human form. He was so fearful. All of these demoniac friends of Kamsa, even the citizens of Mathura, even the ministers of Kamsa would not directly deal with them. They were so powerful, and they didn't know what they would do next in their anger and their extreme power. Kamsa said, "My dear friend, go to Vrindavan, kill these two boys. I know you can do it. And you're as good as my brother. You're as good as me. I'll be really pained if you don't, and I'll be really pained if something happens to you." And Kesi said, "Fear not. What are you making these arrangements for? I will kill them, kill the entire village, and come back to give you the news before sunset today." And Kesi left, and Kamsa was pleased. But he knew this had happened so many times. So many times he had called someone a powerful being, and they never returned. And so Kamsa said goodbye, and he kind of knew he'll never see him again. And Kesi left. And the court dispersed, and finally they said, "We're going to make plans to protect our king." Only Akrura was left standing there. But we are not going to get into what happened with Akrura. Now here in Vrindavan, Kesi assumed the form of a gigantic horse, a huge towering creature with such power, and he was so huge and powerful, he was jumping over hundreds of trees at a time, knocking them down, digging up the earth, and his neighing was so brutally fearful and fearsome to the heart. Everyone in Vrindavan was so disturbed. And Krishna was really upset, and Krishna came out and challenged him. "You little pony, you little donkey, come here and fight me." And Kesi, with all his speed, ran at Krishna and kicked him as hard as he could with his front legs, and as soon as his legs landed, Krishna wasn't there, and his legs had gone such force, they were deep into the earth, shattering the rocks and breaking deep into the earth, and he plucked them out and looked around and again attacked Krishna. Krishna was gone, and so many times, and he just got tired digging up the entire earth. There was like a huge crater where he was fighting now. And Krishna said, "Enough." Krishna caught him by the hind legs, whirled him around a little bit, and threw him far. And he got so bewildered, this demon, he was completely lost his composure, and he became kind of deformed, like in this beautiful painting. Again, with all his strength and mad fury, attacked Krishna. Now Krishna was not going to let him go so easily. And Krishna caught him and stuffed his left hand straight into the horse's mouth. And as soon as that same beautiful arm, which was so comforting to the cowherd boys, which was so beautiful to look at by the gopis, and which was an object of absolute delicateness and such a delicate tiny little hand to his parents, that hand went into the mouth of Kesi like a rod of molten iron, and Kesi's teeth fell out and his hand expanded, blocking his throat. And Krishna picked up this demon from his mouth, and his eyes bulged, he couldn't breathe, he started kicking his legs with all his force, and within a matter of moments, his life air passed out of his body, and he fell down dead to the ground. And all the cowherd boys and everyone cheered, "Yay, Krishna, Krishna, another wonderful feat," and they clapped and they were so happy and enjoying and this and that, and they were so happy. And they all said, "Now it's time, let's go to the pastures, let's go." And they all left. They went to the pastures, they had a beautiful That day they were playing and doing all their things. And while all this was going on, Krishna just for a moment happened to be alone when someone who had caused a lot of mischief, but not really so, appeared there. And Narad Muni was so happy to be in Vrindavan. And he just was singing and praising the glories of Krishna, and he appeared in front of Krishna. And he said, "My dear Supreme Personality of Godhead, I am waiting. I am waiting now for the next part of your pastimes. I know now you will leave Vrindavan, and I don't know when you'll ever return to your most dearest devotees who know nothing but you, who've given their hearts and lives. They live for you. And my heart is breaking to see that. And yet I'm so excited because very soon I will see how you will kill this elephant Kuvalyapil. And then you will break the sacrificial bow of Lord Shiva. You will destroy all the wrestlers and kill the evil king Kamsa. You will rescue the 6 dead sons of Devaki. You will go and defeat Narakasur and Jarasandha. You will defeat Banasur, and you will free the thousands and hundreds of thousands of queens and princes and princesses. You will ally with the Pandava dynasty and cause a great war in which you will weed out all the evil forces of this earth. You will re-establish the principles of eternal dharma, and you will go on to build a beautiful city in Dwarka with 16,108 palaces. And like this, Narad Muni went on and on and on, glorifying what Krishna is going to do. And he had barely finished, and he looked down, and Krishna had gone back to play with the cowherd boys. And Narad Muni couldn't help, but he knew he couldn't just stay there, and he disappeared. And the cowherd boys were playing here and there and doing all their things, and suddenly Krishna announced, "All right, let us play the game of lambs and thieves." And all the boys went into a frenzy of happiness. Lambs and thieves, what a game, lambs and thieves. And I'm going to be a lamb, I'm going to be a thief. And everyone made their teams, and lambs and thieves was the game of that. They got so involved in that game as though their lives depended on it. And the thieves were plotting and planning, and the lambs were escaping. While all this was going on, there was a very evil demon named Vyoma who was nearby. And he was a mystic. He could change his form at will. And so he disguised himself as one of the cowherd boys. But his disguise was not so great. So he didn't come too near Krishna. He just was staying a little distance, but he was quickly, with all his yogic power, hiding the boys in the caves and closing all these caves with huge boulders. And bit by bit, very soon, the boys were wondering, why are there such few lambs and thieves, and fewer until there were like 4 or 5 boys left playing the game with Krishna. Krishna got so upset. He knew all along what's going on, but he was just wondering why. I don't want to trouble my friends. I don't want to cause any unhappiness to them. And now he got so upset. He pounced on Vyomasura like a lion pouncing on a little tiny mouse. And Vyomasura assumed his original form. And Vyomasura was so powerful. He was an extremely powerful wizard. He could fly at will. But with Krishna on his back, he just couldn't do anything. And then he started flying all over his place. And now Krishna was so upset that you separated my dear friends from me. And Krishna dragged him to the ground and threw him to the ground. And just like a lion will kill his prey, he caught him by the throat and strangled him. This little, beautiful, delicate 11-year-old boy killed this huge, massive, powerful, extreme, unimaginably strong Vyomasur. and he lay dead. And Krishna ran to his friends and broke the boulders to pieces and opened the caves. And the boys thought that was part of the game. Some of them were crying out, help, help, Krishna. And some of them just thought it's part of the game. And very soon they were back together and they forgot everything. And then some boys told the others what happened. And the other boys told how they had a great time in the cave. And they were all back together, happy again. And in this way, that beautiful, perhaps the last day of Krishna and Vrindavan, unknown to anybody else, ended. And Krishna brought back the cows and the cowherd boys back to the village of Vrindavan, grazing them and herding them. And excitedly they all entered, Krishna, Krishna, very playfully, very happily. And they all came back to Vrindavan. And that evening, Krishna spent the last few nights stealing butter, doing what he always did, giving such pleasure to all the Brajavasis who knew nothing but Krishna. And they relished and enjoyed that beautiful pastime. And they gave whatever they had in their life was only for Krishna's happiness and Krishna's service. And that is why they were the happiest of happy people who ever have lived on this earth. And in this way, Krishna closed his Vrindavan pastimes because that evening Akrura arrived. And Akrura requested Krishna and Balaram to come with him to Mathura. And that night was a night of such pain to all the Brajavasis, but especially the gopis who would not be going to Mathura to watch Krishna. All the boys were very excited and the men were very excited because they were going to see. And some of the elderly gopi ladies, the mothers, they were very excited too that, oh, Krishna has been invited for a wrestling match. Some of them were very happy. Some of them were wondering why little children, and some of them were fearful. They said, no way, this boy is too small. And Yashoda was definitely on that side of the community, saying, no, Krishna cannot go. How can he wrestle? What a crazy request this is. We can go to see the city. We've never been to the city. They were so excited, but no way Krishna is wrestling. And all the boys, they were super excited. Krishna, you show those wrestlers who you are. And if you can't, we are going to go and fight inside. So don't worry. And Krishna was happy. And that way, the last night was spent. And the next morning, Krishna and Balaram, along with Akrura, on the promise that they would come back in 2 days. That was their promise. They gave their word that we will come back in 2 days. We would just have some business to finish. We're going to participate in the match, see the beautiful city, meet a few people, and we'll come back. Where else are we ever going to go? This is our home. This is our life. We aren't interested in anything else. And those 2 days turned into months and years. And Krishna never came back. He did, in some ways, he did come back, but in some ways he didn't. And in this way, Krishna concluded his beautiful Vrindavan pastimes, of which we just discussed a very small, tiny part of. And maybe next time we will discuss his other pastimes beyond Vrindavan and Mathura and Dwarka. Thank you very much. Let us pray that these beautiful pastimes, which if we develop attraction for Krishna's pastimes, then that is the ultimate perfection of all the spiritual and bhakti practices we are trying to do. that we pray to Krishna that please attract us to these beautiful pastimes and your love and reciprocation with all your devotees. Thank you very much.